So, colleagues, given that assessment, what Uti and I will do next is we will, as much as possible, attempt to procedurally update the set of documents, including the draft report, the procedural report. I don't think at this time we're able to work on the co-chair's proposal to reflect your amendments or even the funding arrangements unless you want us to do that. And we'll send those documents to you in the next week so that we can try and conclude on those matters. In terms of the next steps on going forward, we've been in consultation with a number of colleagues on what potentially those next steps could be. We don't necessarily have an answer for you, but collectively, sorry? You have a question? No, you have a question? Okay, so we will, we've received some comments on the procedural report, which we will tighten up and clean up, and we will prepare for the transmission of that document to the COP presidency. Unless we're otherwise instructed to do that, we will give you, we don't really have a written procedure for transmitting documents to the committee for decisions in between meetings, but we don't think that we can do that right now, right here. Yeah, so we're therefore not recommending a recommendation unless someone has a recommendation that they wish for us to consider, but clearly we are unable to make a recommendation. So that's where we are. Did you have comment, Alvaro?
Thank you very much, Chair. Just to get clarity, so what documents will you be forwarding? You mentioned several documents and cleanup. So just to be clear, what exactly are we referring to?
There's only one document, which is the procedural report, which was submitted to you. It's the TC4 report. Christina.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. It's really late. Can you say it again? That we would only, the co-chairs would only be putting forward the procedural report and not capture any of the progress we've made. And I realize there have been outstanding issues, but there's also been quite a bit of progress that I thought we had achieved, and it would be a real shame to lose that. Is there not a possibility to at least put forward this morning's text as some form of a way forward?
I mean, that was a co-chair's proposal, an informal note. If that's what the committee wants us to do, then we'll do that. But we weren't intending we would just simply report that we had 4 meetings and this is our report, that there's no recommendations. So But we're happy to take other views from colleagues if you think otherwise. We had attempted to try and make progress, but it didn't work, and we have been beaten up and hammered, and everybody's complained. So we won't necessarily do anything under our own instructions. So if the committee wishes us to do something else, we're happy to attempt to do that. But I mean, right now we as I say, we don't see that pathway to go forward. Diane, please go ahead.
Yeah, I am with Christine. Christine, I think, we should capture like a status of where we are so we know what are the issues. I think that will be helpful moving forward so we can go back to our bosses and so we can say what would the next step be. But if you just send a procedural report, people are going to wonder that we just went all over the world and hung out all day and do nothing. So maybe could you just prepare something of where we are, like a status? That would be really helpful. Thanks.
So you mean like a status report where co-chairs would, in their own view, report on we had these conversations and these were the outstanding issues or something like that? Is that what you're thinking, Diane?
I mean, this is like 1:30 in the morning, and we had a text this morning, and we worked all day on this text, and we're not going to capture all the work that we did today, and stay up late for. I mean, even if you update where we had some work we did on the text, if you wanted to add the different versions or whatever. But I'm sorry, co-chairs, I spent all day with a cold working on this, feeling like crap. And I want to see it reflected somewhere, even if a non-paper is times squared to the infinity. It needs to be written down somewhere.
Okay, thank you, Diane. That's very clear. I understand that now. Christina?
Just to want to support what Diane suggested. I would like that as well. Thank you.
Okay, that's clear. We can attempt to do that. That's fine. Jean-Christophe.
Thank you, Richard. Well, I'm afraid I'm close to declare me very, very hugely even disappointed. And it's not because of any of you actually around the table, but it's because of all of us actually collectively not able to engage to the last possible bit of compromise that we could have made. And I do think there is still margin of progress on this set of recommendations. Not only I would like to have some kind of record of where we are, but we are still here. We are still, and I am still available to do more, actually. So if there is appetite around the table to go on some of the issues, I think there is a possibility to land again. I understand it's 1:30 in the morning. Well, this is something that would probably bring something substantial to the global architecture. And so, I mean, using this last bit of time that we have before us, before leaving all in our country, well, it's not useless. It's even a big opportunity to do more. So if there is any appetite around the table to do a little bit more, I am ready to do it right now. And we're not talking about 10 or 20 issues. We are talking about 3, maybe 2 issues. I think we can easily agree on the location because we all agree that we have to have a quick start for this fund in January. We all agree that we don't want to be stuck with a bad location, so we can go for an entering agreement. There is no question about that. Funding arrangement, well, actually, this is also harmless for everyone. This is just giving recommendation, you know, on people, on actors which are doing some good, but who can do better, actually. And then we have these legal issues, institutional. Well, this is not that much work to try to reach this consensus. So again, if there is appetite, I am here. And I will be there until the COP to do more and to try to get an agreement.
Thank you, Jean-Christophe. So I don't know if it's the appetite issue. I wish I had your optimism that it was just 3 issues, because it's not. It's a lot more than that. I think if it was 3 issues, then we would be close, and we would definitely say that we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But it's a lot more than that. Some of the issues around the institutional location are not that simple, and we've run out of time for the moment, we're just trying to get direction from colleagues. But I wish I would agree with. I wish I was able to agree with you that it was that simple. But let's see. Thank you very much. So I have Albara, Ali, Matthias, Mo, and then Heike. Albara.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair. I also share the points that were put forward by Jean-Christophe on being disappointed of not being able to conclude. We really spent a long time working on this, and I maybe agree to utilizing the time here. If we can see the text that was worked on, and I understand that there were many different groups working in different rooms, so if we can have that reflected and try to work as much as possible, that would be a way forward. And also, if we were to refer the text as a non-status text attached to the recommendations, in order for us to capture the work that was conducted, it would be also useful for us to have it reflected on the screen. And maybe one more thing to add would be on the recommendations. I believe that we would also have to agree on what will be coming out of the recommendations, because it will be coming out from us as a transition, as a TC. So it would be important for us to discuss what recommendations will be coming out of here. But I'm also very happy and willing to continue working and trying to move forward on the different elements. Thank you.
Thank you, Albara. So we don't intend to make any recommendations, but again, that's up to the committee to decide. But we're not concluding. We don't see that we've concluded on any recommendations to send to the COP. If colleagues have asked us to take what work has been done and reflect that in the co-chair's informal note, then we will do that, and that can be attached to the procedural report. But we haven't discussed any recommendations. I think we don't have a point where we've concluded the work to make a recommendation. So unless you advise us otherwise, that's where we are. So Ali.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This is indeed an unfortunate situation where we actually worked for 1 year. We had 4 meetings, again 2 workshops, 1 Glasgow dialogue. We discussed this issue like at length in all possible details. I am just missing the enthusiasm we celebrated in Sharm el-Sheikh when the CN was adopted and we were given a mandate to operationalize the fund in 1 year. And it's really unfortunate if we do not send any recommendation. What message we are giving to the world that we were given a chance to discuss things, but we agreed on the establishment of a fund, and then our issues are so divergent, we are so far apart from common understanding that we were not able to send any recommendations. So this is really unfortunate for me, and personally, since Pakistan was G77 and China's chair at the time when the decision was adopted, we put a lot of effort in it. And again, I highlighted again and again in this meeting that the fund was created on the background where Pakistan suffered a huge catastrophe and millions of people were displaced and thousands died and innocent lives perished. And what message I'll take back home that you were sent to operationalize the fund, and you came like empty-handed. There is nothing on the table, no agreed recommendations. Ideal would have been that we sent something to the COP, no discussions, and it was adopted. But since here we are, we cannot do anything about it. At the moment, I can only not only express regrets. I'll support what Diane has said, that today we put a lot of effort in trying to bridge our differences, and we in some areas we did achieve a lot of progress. In allocation, for example, there are a few issues, a very important one for both sides. They're remaining, but we were very close to discussion. If given a chance, like if we have 1 more hour, we might solve that part, but I'm not sure whether we'll be able to solve anything on sources, location, and many other areas. My request is that you capture, both you co-chairs, all the progress we achieved today and highlight the differences so that we, even if it is like an informal note from you, but that can be served as a basis of negotiations at the COP. What I understand is that at COP we have to discuss this and come up and close this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali, and we're equally disappointed as everybody else is that we are here and that we haven't been able to agree whether we haven't been able to agree. So thank you very much. We will, as we said, update the note accordingly to reflect the state of discussions today, including the discussions on the funding arrangements. I'm assuming that's also being requested. So thank you very much. Matthias, please.
Thank you very much, Richard. First of all, of course, I'd like to join my colleagues, previous ones, all of them, on saying that we are really frustrated with the outcome or the lack of the outcome of this discussion, which is not only about recommendations. I would also be willing to be very positive, as our colleague Jean-Christophe was, but we were simply, the lack of result of this meeting is simply not commensurate to the importance of the issue that we have at hand. I think that we all recognize that as Sharm, and we were very serious about addressing loss and damage in developing countries. And I also agree with Diane and Christina on the fact that we did make some progress, especially today with all the time constraints. I'm afraid that the text proposed initially in this meeting is not necessarily reflective of those progress that we made in the discussion. So we're putting ourselves here, as Alvar has just mentioned, if we still want to have something to put forward for a future consideration on the matter, including at COP, I think we can stay a little longer. I mean, I changed my flight to be right here. So we're definitely up for that, but we would also like to see how these changes are reflected, mindful of all of the outstanding elements that we all know they're also in this text. But again, just to say that I agree definitely with Ali on how frustrated we all should be in this TC by not having moved forward in the pace and in the breadth that we all were mandated by. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias. Mo.
Thank you so much, and I'm sure, like all of you, when we came here, we were full of hope that we'll be able to deliver on our mandate. And I think until last night, even this morning, I was very hopeful that this will be happening. But now, and this hour, we're almost 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't think this is happening. But also the course that you have proposed is very challenging for us. We have been working for a full year. We have documents, and just having a report by the co-chairs on the procedural elements and some elements there, then we restart this whole process, not through 24 members, but through 196 members, I think is something that will be not the best thing that we should move forward with. I think there could be another idea, open for ideas. We should consider that we have, as colleagues have mentioned, we have achieved substantial progress. There are important issues that needs to be hammered. I have to say that we only have negotiated text for 1 day, which is today. Maybe if we had this text for like 2 days before, things might have different outcome, because it will allow for more consultations with capitals. It would allow for more engagement between the smaller groups. So this is an idea to consider, that we have to fix it within the TC. Yes, we decided on 4 meetings. I'm not saying I'm going to host any more meetings, by the way. We decided on 4 meetings, but I don't know how can we take it from here. We heard the COP president designate requesting that the TC delivers. The parties are requesting us to deliver. So going to the COP with nothing and just providing a report doesn't make much sense. Second point is we have to provide, if we go this track with providing a report, we have to provide a report attached to it, a text. And this text is co-chair's text, but that was consulted upon in the TC. So the last elements that we have just discussed until half an hour ago should be reflected in this text. But it has to have text, because it shows that we have been working for 4 meetings and we have really delivered something, but we were not able to finalize some very political, let me put it this way, the very political issues that might have benefited from extra time. Not a couple of hours, because I know that many of those items people will need to go back to their capitals and check with. So unfortunately, this was difficult to happen today. So I leave it there, but I think there could be another way out that we fix it through the TC, and for sure not virtual meetings, because this doesn't help. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Mo. And yes, to confirm that we have been requested by colleagues to include in an annex of sorts, I guess an annex, the co-chair's paper and to include the reflections that have been made in today's discussions, as well as we will try as best as we can to reflect the conversations that were held, or inputs that were held on the funding arrangements. So yes, there will be that, and Uti and I are happy to consider other ways of getting our work done, of getting our report done, of attempting to do what it is that we had set out to do in the beginning of the year, and what we had set out as our expectations of this meeting, that we would have a clean text, and we're happy to work with colleagues on that one. But I do agree with you that I think we just don't have enough time to do justice to all the comments that we received on all papers. So we're in your hands. We're in the committee's hands on next steps and how to go forward. So if anybody has any great ideas, then please raise your flags. Next on my list is Heike, followed by Hadja and Georg. So Heike, please.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you, co-chairs. Whatever will be the end of this conversation, I would like to honestly acknowledge your effort, and I can imagine the frustration you feel, and you have steered us. You have invested a lot, and I think you made a really honest effort with the text you put in front of us today, where this morning when I reflect back, we were colleagues all, we said equally unhappy with things, frustrated, this and that. But then, I mean, we said we have something to work on, to fight for solutions, try to find solutions. And maybe, I think most of us also had this morning a vision on that we could really make it happen. And look, now we are sitting here. Yeah, I feel the same way as Angela. So, and everybody else. So, I still wonder what we can do about it. I mean, let me say that on the report, what comes out of here, I think, in any case, I would like that the hard work of the co-chairs, the secretariat, the TCU, is it the right abbreviation? I hope so. TSU. And all of us, it needs to be reflected. And I don't have the perfect answer, but I don't want to see only a procedural report. Could it be a co-chair's note, or happy to explore whatever options? I mean, we are failing the process, the mandate, people, expectations. But having said that, and I know we are tired, it's late, but can't we not, I don't know, go back to our constituencies, look each other in the eye, and then say, do we have the appetite? Do we really, although the going gets really tough right now, do we see a way forward? Come with maybe new energy. I don't know where we get it, but and on substance also some ideas on how we can make progress. Because it doesn't feel like that, but waking up tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, we will say, oh, why did we not try again and harder?
Yeah, thank you, Heike. I mean, I wish we were in a situation where, you know, again, mental reflection to the next people who try this. This is why you need to have alternate members, because we could have had the TC members working in one room and alternates working in another room. And there is a logic to why we did this in the GCF, so that you could always maintain a board capacity, and then you could send people off to do their work who were essentially on par at the same status as TC members. But we don't. It's very hard to break out into groups, because we have to have, you know, one person from each subgroup on our side. It's different in your context for your group, but for our group we represent, you know, constituencies and sub-constituencies, and everybody has to be represented, so you can't really do more than two. It's very difficult. These are all the constraints that we have. Again, we're in colleagues' hands. We're just sharing with you our assessment that amongst the three documents that we have to produce, and there's three documents of substance, one of procedural nature, and then there's the fourth document on substance that we haven't even got to, which is the decision. The 4 hours between now and the sun coming up is not enough to conclude on these big issues, right? And therefore this is our concern. But again, if colleagues have ideas on how this could happen by maintaining representation and inclusivity of or groups. Mohammed, are you giving me the two fingers? The four fingers.
Yes, because I think with what you have been saying and what we hear from colleagues, I don't think will be or I don't think the idea of going to the COP was 4 documents, not agreed, and the report is the best option, just to be very clear. So I'm just thinking out loud, is there a possibility to have a TC5, not in Egypt, just to be very clear, it's not here. Is there a possibility to have a TC5? So I would just hear from colleagues around the table, and I'm also looking at the incoming COP presidency. I can see Hannah from here, but I think I can see her hands. So she doesn't like the idea. So, but I think this is another option because there are 3 things. The document that will come out, we need to also to look at and see if this is the document, if it's reflective of all submissions or not. And we need to reflect on that. It is co-chairs, yes, but there has been a lot of elements that were mentioned orally. There were many elements that we mentioned that we will have submissions from parties, including on the funding arrangements. So I don't know if this is another option to consider or not. So I will just leave it to the whole TC membership to decide.
Okay, thank you, Mohammed. So there we go, colleagues. There's a suggestion from Mohammed if you wish to reflect on that, please. Okay, I'm going back to my list. Hadja, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard, and thank you, co-chairs. You have been doing a very difficult job, and we have been working together for a year, and I think it's important for us to remember why we took this so seriously and why we all got together, and we have been working in good faith because the 1.5 degrees is going to surpass very soon. The most vulnerable people in the world are getting really, really affected, and we need to have this fund at the scale that we need in order to be able to respond to the crisis and in order for the most vulnerable of the world to be able to live and survive and thrive in the 1.5 degrees and beyond, which is unfortunately coming at us faster than we know. And so I just want to support Diane and Christina and Matthias and everyone. I also stayed back here, changed my flight in the spirit of not giving up and in the spirit of co-creating and finding solutions. And I think we have actually moved on some of the things, and so a procedural text alone would not be acceptable for us. And I think it's really important to capture the substance as well. And we have spent a lot of time over these months. So we cannot leave empty-handed. And I don't think a co-chair's note is going to have the weight. And that's not our mandate. We're here to propose recommendations. And without this, we're not going to get the fund, and we're going to lose time. And this again have tremendous impacts on the most vulnerable. So I'm very disappointed, but I still think that we have to push for an outcome, and that we have to use the remaining time also to see how we can do this. But I also understand it's 2 a.m. and as Ambassador Moore has suggested, I support a TC5 if this is what's going to get us to come together and finalize the last pieces and get a recommendation, because we need to finish and we need to go back to the groups and we need to come together because this is really important for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Hadja. I too don't want to give up the fight, but at some point reality sinks in, and I'm reminded of a quote by the late Nelson Mandela that our successes we aren't always measured in our successes, but we're measured by how many times we fall down and come back again. So maybe this is something, the offer from Mohammed is an opportunity. This is our moment of falling, and maybe the opportunity for a TC5 is that we can be measured on how we bounce back. So thank you very much. Georg, followed by Jaime.
Thank you, Richard. So let me also just express my big disappointment as others that we have come to this situation at our last meeting. I think I felt from the I have felt from the beginning when we started our work back in Luxor that we all as individual members of this committee has been very committed to the mandate that we were given, and all of us have been working to get an outcome and deliver on what the COP CMA has asked us to do. So, and I think, you know, it's the result of us not having succeeded collectively, and I think we all have put in all of the efforts that we have been able to so far. And I would like to also, like others, I would like to thank you as coaches for your effort in bringing us to the point where we are to now. I would like to say also, and support what others in the room have pleaded on, that we do not lose all of the work that we have put in, and I certainly also feel the same as others say, that we have made progress at this meeting and also during the last days since you put forward your paper. So I do think that we should look at ways that we can forward that in a way that reflects how far we did come, and if you know if we need to work on this in order to ensure that everyone has their views reflected. I'm sure that you as co-chairs can put together your reflections on the discussions that we've had during the last hours. I would certainly support any way or any mode of making sure that we do so in a way that it goes beyond just a procedural note from the co-chairs. So, yes, we're open for any type of way of ensuring that we do that and that we don't lose the all of the effort that we collectively have put into this so far. Thanks.
Thank you, Georg. So yes, we will work with the Secretary to capture as many views as possible. How we do that, we'll have to get to that when we start work on that. But yes, we will do that, and that obviously will be shared with you. So thank you very much. Jaime, followed by Adao.
Thank you, Richard and Uti. It's indeed late at night, but I want to refuse to believe that we're wrapping up. It feels like such incredible disappointment, and we've done a lot of work. We came a long trip. Before, we didn't even know what loss and damage actually was. We never defined it, so we needed to create a fund and funding arrangements for something that's not really defined. Over the trip, over the TC1, 2, 3, and 4, and with workshops, we have got a better understanding of both funding arrangements and the fund. This group has had moments of frustration, and this is one of them, but also a lot of moments of fraternity. We've gotten to know each other a lot better personally as well. And I think there's not one person here that is not willing to land this. I think we had too little time now with a fixed text at the very last day, just have one day to really negotiate on a text that was too short. I would say TC5, I would support it. I would start tomorrow. I'm ready. Like Christina, I mean, we have another day. If those want to work, we can work tomorrow, either informally or formally. And otherwise, I would suggest to, but that is up to the UAE presidency to meet as this group, or a smaller version of it, but obviously balanced, etc., etc. But and I would say also in closed doors, so that we can be very frank and open to each other, and not posturing in front of the cameras during COP, to really try to land something, so that second week of the COP we have a text going forward. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Jaime. Yes, and you've given support for other working options and moving forward. So I think that that's a common reflection from all statements. So, Hannah, I'll give you the floor when everybody's finished, or if you want to go now, or because a lot of the questions are coming to the COP presidency. So,
thank you very much. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Uti. Well, let me start just by responding. You started by saying that you failed the incoming presidency. You haven't failed us. We continue to have full faith in your ability to deliver. We also recognize that you are in the hands of parties, as are we. So, CPD's message was very clear. Do not leave this to anyone else. He has full faith in this transitional committee to deliver and does not think that this should go anywhere else. The TC has to deliver its mandate, and we're here to support all the way. So I just got a call a few moments ago to ask what support is needed for this group. As you know, CPD is very engaged. He's spoken to some of your bosses. My report to him was that we continue to see goodwill from all the members, and we still continue to see a willingness to close this and to find solutions, to listen to one another, to progress from where we've had, and this is reiterated in this plenary. So I think that's been helpful. That said, we do hear the growing request for time. So as some colleagues have mentioned, we will be convening pre-COP from the 30th to the 31st of October. That's not that far away. That said, there will be over 100 parties present. Our original plan was to convene a session to socialize the TC's recommendations, because we really did believe that it was possible to close this here, and then we would spend the time getting other parties on board. However, what we can do is work with the co-chairs on a session that helps with the aspects of socialization, that help with political progress, or at least unlocking political stalemates, and then to offer to host TC5 soon after. So we would suggest around the 3rd to the 5th of November, perhaps, in Abu Dhabi. But I would stress with that, this is just listening on the ground. We can, of course, look at what requirements there are. With that, I would flag that one of the opportunities we had in this meeting was to start to see text, to start to understand how some of the unknowns became known. And so we really hope that if there is extra time given, that it's not wasted. And I know that nobody the kind of ambition and the kind of outcome that we need. So that's our suggestion, recommendation, response, and we thank you all. And I'm also here until tomorrow if anyone wants to keep going. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hannah, and thank you very much for that that suggestion offer from the presidencies. So, colleagues, we have in front of us an offer from the COP presidency to host TC5 in Abu Dhabi, if I'm correct, and the dates would be just after the pre-COPs of 3 to 5, round about there. Colleagues, can I take it that that would be an acceptable way for us to conclude our work with clean recommendations? I think Uti and I were hoping to have our lives back, but I would rather have my life back with clean recommendations than no recommendations. So are people ready to accept the offer, to accept the challenge to reconvene again with what I understood was a clear text in front of us, with a clear task ahead in front of us, and to get down to work? We could certainly also arrange, if that was the case, we could also consider, if I know there's not a lot of time and people at GCF next week and then it's the week after, but we could also consider, in addition, some other preparatory work to help that process. So can I just see nodding heads or hands or things like that? 2 hands from Jaime.
Just looking at the agenda, I mean, it's the 30th, 31st, you said it was the pre-COP. Ideally, because we have families, it'd be great if we could go straight after, but I don't know if that's possible because many of us will be at the pre-COP. Okay.
Okay, colleagues, can we just get, like, is everybody in agreement that we will have a TC5 and we would, okay.
Thank you, Richard. I'm not opposing anything. I want to have another meeting, but just a legal point of view. From Asia Pacific, since we are struggling with nominations, we'll request that it shouldn't be called as TC5, it should be called as a resumed session of TC4, so that we don't have to come up with new people and new everything. We want to resolve it. We have an understanding of issues, and this is our proposal.
Okay, so I have the secretary. The first thing the secretary says to me, legal arrangements with the host country, travel, blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't really care about that. If we need to meet, I don't care whether the UNFCCC secretariat needs to have P's and I's and MOUs. There was not P's and I's for COP26 in Glasgow, and it was okay. So we have a situation where we are not. If either we just stop our work now and we say no, or we bounce back. We haven't offered to bounce back. I've heard nobody say we shouldn't bounce back. I've heard everybody say we need to do this. It's really important. So in my mind, the kind of legal stuff. I'm sorry, with all due respect to the Secretariat, the Executive Secretary would need to actually take an executive decision, and otherwise, I mean, again, it's this continuous frustration that our work gets obstacles get in the way of our work, and we get distracted from things. So, colleagues, I get the sense we have to take a decision to host TC5 for procedural reasons. We understand their challenges, Lando and the team, but we're just going to have to overcome those in order to. It's a greater good issue here that we need to deal with. So, can I take it that colleagues are ready to approve a decision to have a TC5 meeting? Yes or no? David?
Thanks. Sorry. Thanks, Richard. And of course, I see no other pathway in front of us. I have a personal issue. My daughter turns 17 on the 4th of November, so I'm going to need a better negotiator than me from around this table to intervene on my behalf, because she's going to kill me. But I will, of course, not stand in the way of whatever it takes to work with this group to ensure that we get the best possible outcome for our presidency and for parties. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. So can we just first agree that there will be a TC5, and then we'll have a conversation with Anna? Yes, please.
Thank you, colleagues. So incoming presidency, I don't have to negotiate with parties yet. Offers 3rd to the 5th, please bring your families. It's a wonderful place for families. We'd love to have them there. And just, you know what, just move in and stay until the COP. We can get it all done early. We started this meeting with me being an aspiring celebration officer. I want that title back. 3rd to the 5th, TC5. No, not resume, nothing. TC5 is the offer, 3rd to the 5th of November.
No, then it's not acceptable.
Thank you.
That's clear. We only accept this if nominations are not changed. It is very important to us. We call it a resume session. We have no problem in meeting. We are fully supportive of it, but we'll be only coming if the same members are there. Thank you.
Okay, I think maybe you need to go off into your group and discuss that. So, colleagues, we've agreed that there will be another meeting, whatever we call it. I don't care. We had not planned to suspend this meeting. We had plan to close this meeting, just to close off the bad experience and then move to a new meeting with a fresh approach and a fresh set of eyes. But we understand that issue. But so right now we've agreed to another meeting. We'll confirm the dates tomorrow with the secretary, from the presidency and the secretariat. And we'd ask the Asia Pacific group to go and have a conversation on that one. Okay, thank you very much, colleagues, and thank you very much to the COP presidency for assisting and finding a way forward on that one. I'm going to go back to my list. Adao, please, followed by Laurence.
Thank you very much, co-chairs. Good morning, colleagues. This is very useful information that the COP presidency is still willing to facilitate this meeting until the conclusion of our work, and then we need to provide recommendation to the Conference of Parties as it was mandated. I also would like to say that my constituency colleagues are still asking me about the outcomes. It's very unfortunate for me to provide a proper answer. So the answer that I could give to them is having conclusion and providing recommendation by the next TC meeting. So let me propose the mode of work. We need to change the mode of work. For the next meeting, we need to be efficient and effective. Divide ourselves into small group discussions, if it's possible, and then coming back for plenary quickly and then go back for work. No very long statements, I think. Otherwise, we will just make another failure like one that we have here. This is my point. But once again, thank you very much, Anna, for offering this. And I also would like to thank my colleagues, especially John Christoph and also Heike, for facilitating today's discussion, or tonight's discussion. I think it was useful. And we are hoping that whatever we have made progress just put together. It was very last minute to agree upon some key elements on the allocation session, and it was a progress. So we also need to put all things together as outcome of our TC4's result. I think that's really good one. And let me thank Ambassador Mo for hosting here. I think that's also very useful. Even we extend our work up to today. We're supposed to close our meeting yesterday, but in fact we are here. So once again, thank you very much for you all, and we need to be proactive and productive at next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adao. Yes, we'll definitely reflect on that, and also let me also thank Jean-Christophe, Heike, and Avinash and David for facilitating the two breakout groups. We will make sure that the text, whatever text we do, whatever text you produce is reflected in what we prepare for TC5. Laurence, please, followed by Angela.
Thank you, Richard. He's not in the room, but thanks so much to the current COP presidency for their hospitality for this meeting. Thank you to the incoming COP presidency for working so hard to try and get us forward. You to the co-chairs for all your work, which I think all of us have appreciated in the long hours that we've spent here. I join my voice to those of everyone who said that it is too bad that we weren't able to conclude here. We have an offer on the table for a new meeting, and like everyone else, we're absolutely
committed to finding an outcome. So Canada will be there. I cannot emphasize enough the words of Adao in terms of finding modalities for working that are going to be productive. So maybe it means changing the approach that we've had here or in previous TCs, and also ensuring that we're not starting from scratch. So thank you very much, Richard and Uti, for the work that you're going to do in capturing the outcome. Maybe my last question is, whenever that's possible, we would welcome details on how the discussion with the ministers is going to be set up at pre-COP, because I think if things are to conclude at TC along pre-COP, we need to make sure that this discussion, that the guidance from ministers is sought and provided in the clearest way. So any indication on how the agenda might be structured, how that conversation might be structured, will be very, very useful. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurence. We will certainly be in communication with the COP presidency, incoming COP presidency around that. I think thankfully now that there's going to be another meeting, Uti and I are less worried. When Hannah asked us to come to the pre-COP, we were like, okay, either we're going to be summoned and be scolded by the ministers, or we were going to be lucky enough to socialize an outcome. So I think we're somewhere in the middle there, or at least we probably won't be badly scolded, right? But we'll speak with Hannah and the team, and that we'll make sure that they inform you on that and how that works. So thank you, Angela, Debbie, and then Sumaya.
Thank you very much, Richard. Let me start by saying that I really appreciate the work that you have been doing since the beginning of this process. I do really appreciate the efforts that you made in trying to bring us in a common positions, creating proposal, pushing for work. So just express my appreciation for all the things that you did during this and previous sessions. I don't want to start saying that I'm frustrating, although I'm frustrating, but I have to say that I have hope. We start this process together, and we need to finalize this process together. And when there is a will, there is a way. So I think that we do not think. I don't think that we need to consider this as a personal negotiation, and that we are fighting. We are representing our people, our populations. We are trying to build together. We need to recognize that we have a lot of differences, but we can build together. That's the message that I have, and I think that we try to do this today. Most of us changed the flight ticket, showing willingness to engage and trying to discuss. Although we have, frankly speaking, we discussed just 3 main topics, main areas, and I joined others in the sense that we tried to do our best, but perhaps at the time was against us. So I just want to support the comments made by the presidency. We need to finalize, and the TC is in charge to deliver an outcome. It's in our hands to deliver an outcome, and we cannot go to the COP without any kind of result. On the meeting, I fully support an additional meeting. I think it's the only chance that we need to finalize it. And let me highlight that it's really important for us to also leave it open for participation of civil society. I think that it's important that they, accompany us and share with us their views, because this is not only for parties, this is for all communities and vulnerable people. So my appreciation, not only to you, co-chairs, also the Secretariat, the Presidency, and I think all TC members, advisors that are here supporting us, trying to reach consensus. And we look forward to find a solution and finalize with a good outcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angela. Debbie?
Thank you, Richard. Just to say a very big thank you to you guys as co-chairs. You've worked incredibly hard over recent months. I know it has been a challenging task. I also wanted to express my thanks to the Secretariat and the TSU and to all the members here who've dedicated so much time for this. Simply that if we're to come together again, we need to get this done. So we need to come ready to get this done with the political mandates to get this done. I'm not sure personally that we need 3 days. I think we need a shorter time and we need the right mindset. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Yes, Uti and I will reflect on that with the presidency on 2 or 3 days. But yes, thank you. And yes, your suggestion is well noted about becoming prepared, both with political mandates, but also, I'm assuming, good text in front of you. So we'll work on that. Samaya, you're my last speaker, and then I'll come back to those with flags up already spoken. Samaya.
Thank you, Richard. Like colleagues, I also want to thank you on the Secretariat for all the hard work. And like colleagues, I was hoping this would be our last meeting. And planning a meeting quickly and with short notice would bring us into contradictions with other commitment. So I, at this stage, while supporting what the presidency of COP28 proposing, I still, as for now, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to cope, because on the 31st I do have serious commitment, but hopefully I will be able to manage. But if I was able to make it, and I ask for time to go out and have a virtual meeting, that from now on point in it. Otherwise, I might not be able to come, because this is predetermined thing, and I hope it won't stand in my way and prevent me from attending, because I came here with the assumption that this is the final meeting. But I also, like other colleagues, I hope that with the work that we did here, with the little progress that we did, will be somehow captured, because the procedure thing is just unfortunate, because we were hoping to get a paper that have a standing and status. But anyway, I think at least, like other colleagues have just said, the mode of work certainly will enhance that in the time that we will get in Abu Dhabi. Thanks to the Egyptian government and to our colleague Mo for the generosity and for hosting us for the third time on loss and damage. So I would like to stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Samaya. We'll explore the option to have you.
Maybe we can be.
We'll explore the options of Zoom or what have you, but we'll be in contact with you. So yes, you have the flexibility from our side on that one. Okay, colleagues, Albara, coming back to you.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair, and also I'd like to thank the incoming presidency for offering to host. We look forward to a successful meeting in Abu Dhabi. And I wanted to ask you, Co-Chair, and confirm from you, what will be the non-status text that you will be forwarding to that meeting? Because as I heard many different things, and I'm really trying to catch up with what will be the elements that will be sent. I understood that most of us were saying that we did a lot of work today, and something I fully agree to, so I would want to make sure that whatever gets forwarded incorporates the work that we have done today at the subgroups on the different elements. And I also heard many different proposals for the way forward, so would be really keen to hear from you what are your views on the way forward, exactly in terms of the procedural conclusion, the message, and also the text that will be put forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Albara. To TC4. I don't want to commit to that. Thanks, Albara. So Uchi and I would need to reflect on that, but I believe it's the co-chair's prerogative to prepare another note that builds on builds on the note that we gave this morning and builds on the discussion that has been held over these 4 days, as well as the group discussions here, and we'll be very cautious in making sure that note talks to the outcome that we expect at TC5, whatever it is going to be called, with a view to the note really facilitating that outcome, and we will endeavor to make sure that you have that well in advance of the meeting. So I think we just need some time to reflect on exactly what it is that we would do on that one. So thank you. Okay, colleagues, you want to come back?
Yes, thank you very much, Richard. But I just want to highlight, and I think that was clearly highlighted also by many colleagues, that the text that was forwarded this morning is not a text that's balanced and captures the different views by the technical, by the TC members, and I believe it would be important if we were to present it with any non-status text. It would be a text that would incorporate the work that was done at the subgroups. So this is absolutely important to highlight. And again, thank you very much for you and your co-chair, and look forward to seeing you in TC5 in Abu Dhabi.
Thank you, Albara. I'm now going to hand over to Uti. Hannah, did you want to come back? No. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm now going to, before I hand over, let me thank you, colleagues, for your kind comments. Uti and I will continue to work with the purpose of achieving the mandate and with the ambition of a clean, robust text on all issues for the next meeting. And I want to thank you all for your cooperation and the good working spirit that we have here. We know the issues are very complicated and very political, and our discussions get tense and heated, but we are, I believe, as a group, able to meet the task. So thank you very much, and I'll hand over to Uti.
Thank you, Richard. I'll be very brief. It's 2:30 in the morning. I honestly thought that if we were still up at 2:30 in the morning after the meeting should have closed, that we would have just sort of agreed to a clean text that we would forward to the COP. I think this is a huge disappointment, and certainly I think we as a committee, I think we need to reflect on what is it that we are exactly doing. So clearly we have not achieved our objectives. I mean, and very grateful indeed to the UAE for offering to host us for the 5th meeting. But again, I mean, unless we do things really differently, it is. I mean, I struggle to see the pathway to a clean text, like 1.5 weeks later to compare to where we were right now. But that's another issue. I do want to thank all colleagues around the table for all the hard work. I want to thank the Secretariat. I want to thank also the Technical Support Unit. I want to thank my co-chair. I think at times we've both been equally upset at our constituencies, but that's just how it goes. I'll stop now. I'll just sort of wish everyone good night, safe travels. See you soon in Abu Dhabi, and the 4th meeting of the Transitional Committee is closed.